Why Teena Marie had to fight Motown to control her career. 10 moments in the fight between Teena Marie and Motown Records. Not a story about a difficult artist. A story about a woman who signed at 20, watched a label sit on her voice for 3 years, then had to go to a California courtroom for the right to keep making her own music. By the end, you will know why her legal name is attached to a protection that has shielded artists for 40 years. 10. The audition that was never about her voice. Before I tell you about lawsuits and injunctions, I need to tell you about a girl from Venice, California. Mary Christine Brockert was born in Santa Monica on March 5, 1956. Her father was a construction worker. She taught herself guitar. She taught herself bass. She taught herself congas. She was on television at 8 years old, tap dancing in an episode of the Beverly Hillbillies, credited as Teena Marie Brockert. Her family moved to Los Angeles in the early 70s, and she spent her teenage years in Oakwood, the historically black section of Venice, where a woman named Bertha Lynn Jackson became her godmother, and where the music that would define her entire adult life was simply the sound of the neighborhood she walked through. Can't imagine where young love went wrong. At Venice High School, she took the female lead in The Music Man. In 1974, she fronted a rock band with her classmates called Trouvere. After graduating, she enrolled briefly at Santa Monica College, worked a job at a fast food counter, and auditioned anywhere that would let her in the room. Say goodbye, my love. No. In 1976, at age 20, a mutual acquaintance introduced her to a Motown staff producer named Hal Davis, the man behind early Jackson 5 records, and earlier, Brenda Holloway. Davis arranged an audition with Gordy himself. And here is where the story turns towns. The audition was not for a record. It was for a Motown film project about orphans. That film was never made. It was shelved. But Gordy heard something in that room he did not want to let walk out the door. He signed her, not the group she had brought with her, which he had no use for, her, as a solo act. Some accounts of that period hold that Gordy saw her initially as an actress rather than as a singer. The most consequential signature of her life was collected at an audition for a movie that never existed, by a man who had not yet decided what she was for. And if you grew up with her records in the house, if Portuguese Love or Fire and Desire was playing in a kitchen you still remember, hold that image for a second. That voice was already inside a building in Hollywood in 1976, under contract, and nobody had figured out what to do with it. The fight does not begin in a courtroom. It begins in an office. 9, 3 years in the vault. She was signed, she was in the building, and nothing came out. From 1976 forward, Teena Marie recorded for Motown constantly and released nothing. She cut sessions with the singer and producer Ronnie McNear through the summer of that first year. She recorded with Winston Monsique. In 1977, she tracked material under producers Kenny Kerner and Richie Wise. Berry Gordy personally produced a solo acoustic session, just her, a guitar, no band, no arrangement, a 20-year-old alone with her own songs. More than an album's worth of finished material. By one account of the period, Motown spent in excess of $400,000 on those sessions and still could not decide how to present her commercially. None of it was released. Not one single, not one B-side. You can hear those recordings now. In 2011, 35 years after they were made, and a year after she was already gone, the archivists at Hippo Select issued them as a double-disc set called First Class Love, Rare T. Listen to it and you are hearing a woman at the height of her early instincts, singing into a microphone in a room she had fought her whole adolescence to reach, and then going home while the tape went into a box. And I need you to hold that for a moment. Not because it is unusual, because it is not. This is the ordinary mechanics of a record company that has acquired something valuable and has not yet decided what it is worth. In the summer of 1978, Rick James, riding high off Come Get It. The biggest thing on the label that year was slated to produce The Boss, the upcoming album by Diana Ross. Diana Ross, the single most valuable name Motown had. He heard Teena Marie playing and singing, and he turned Diana Ross down to work with her instead. Understand what that is. That is one of the most self-interested men in the music business, looking at a 22-year-old with nothing released, no track record, no public existence whatsoever, and deciding she was the better bet. Somebody finally saw it. It just wasn't the people who owned her contract. What happened next was the label's decision, and it is the one people still argue about. Real talk. Only 9% of you are subscribed. That hurts. We're spending hours digging through archives, fact-checking every detail, bringing these stories back to life. And if you're watching this far, you clearly care. So hit subscribe. It's free and takes 2 seconds. Now, to my subscribers, barely any of you have joined the membership. And honestly, that stings even more. You know the work we put in. You keep coming back. If these videos have ever made you feel something, if this music means something to you, join the membership. It's $1 coffee a month, and it's the only way we keep this going. Let's build this together. All right, back to it. The name that almost wasn't hers. On the Billboard Black Singles chart, the album reached number 18 on the Black Album 7, the album cover with no face on it. Find the original 1979 sleeve of Wild and Peaceful. Ocean, sky, clouds. No photograph of the artist. Nowhere on it. Motown released a debut album by a 23-year-old singer and declined to put her picture on the front of it. Radio programmers had no image. Record store buyers flipping through the bins had no image. Listeners heard that enormous instrument, the robust chest voice, the coloratura range, the fluid melisma, the phrasing built in oak wood, and drew the conclusion the record invited them to draw. Overwhelmingly, people assumed Teena Marie was black. Rick James later stated plainly that the omission was deliberate, that the intent was to leave listeners uncertain about her race. Berry Gordy's stated reasoning, which she repeated in interviews for years afterward, was that he wanted people to hear the voice before they saw the person. It was a decision made inside an industry with a long and documented history of the exact opposite maneuver. Labels in the 50s keeping photographs of black artists off their own album sleeves to avoid unsettling white record buyers. This was that same logic, run in reverse. But it was still a decision made about her, without her, for commercial reasons, at the single most important moment of her professional life. The reveal happened in public. She performed I'm a Sucker for Your Love with Rick James on Soul Train, becoming, by NPR's account, the first white female guest in that program's history. The following year, the sleeve of Lady T carried her photograph, and a great many people were genuinely surprised. And here is the part that matters more than any of the strategy. The audience did not withdraw. Black radio kept her. Black audiences kept her. They kept her for 3 decades, across 5 labels, until the day she died. They gave her a title she never asked for and was never entirely comfortable with, the Ivory Queen of Soul. The marketing decision was Motown's. The loyalty was hers. Those are 2 different things, and only one of them was earned. And whether that blank cover was protection or manipulation, I think you already know which one you believe. 6. She takes the board. Here is where the story changes direction, and she is the one who changes it. Wild and peaceful sold, so Motown moved her to a new producer, Richard Rudolph, founder of Rotary Connection and husband of Minnie Riperton, who was gravely ill during the sessions and who died in 1979. Rudolph dedicated the finished album to her. That album was Lady T, released in 1980, and this time, Teena Marie was not a vocalist being produced by somebody else. She co-produced it. She co-wrote most of it, including Behind the Groove, number 21 on the Black Singles Chart in America, and, remarkably, her only top 20 hit in the United Kingdom, where it climbed all the way to number 6. Lady T outcharted her debut, number 18 Black Albums, number 45 Pop. That performance earned her the one thing she had been reaching for since 1976. On August 14, 1980, 4 months later, in the same calendar year, Motown released Irons in the Fire, written by Teena Marie, produced by Teena Marie, sole producer, no co-credit, no supervision. Her backing band was Ozone, another Motown act. She dedicated the record to her father, Thomas Leslie Brockert, who had died in 1976, the same year she signed the contract that would eventually put her in court. She was 24 years old. The lead single, I Need Your Lovin', went top 10 R&B and became her first record to cross into the pop top 40, an instant signature song. The album reached number 9 on the Black Albums chart and number 38 pop. It is stacked with tributes to the people who built her, the Marvelettes, Aretha, Donny Hathaway, John Lennon. The Temptations sang background on it. In a 2009 interview, Near the end of her life, she named Irons in the Fire her personal favorite of everything she ever made. Now hold that against what came before it. Motown spent roughly $400,000 and 3 years and a half dozen producers trying to work out what to do with her voice. She worked it out in a single album by herself in 4 months. That is not confidence. That is a woman who spent her entire early 20s waiting for somebody to hand her the console and who did not need a second take when they finally did. And the album that came next is the one that made the fight unavoidable. The Peak, which is also the Trap. May 14th, 1981. It Must Be Magic, her 4th album in 26 months. Written by her, produced by her, entirely, for the 2nd consecutive time. Number 2 on the Black Albums chart. Number 23 on the Billboard 200, her highest performing release to that point. The first Teena Marie album certified gold by the RIA, more than 400,000 copies according to the figure entered into the court record 2 years later. Remember that number. It comes back. The lead single was Square Biz. Number 3 on the Black Singles chart, number 50 pop, number 12 on Club Play, and listen to what she does inside it. She raps. In 1981, on a soul record, mid-song she breaks into a spoken passage naming her own influences out loud. Sarah Vaughan, Bach, Shakespeare, Maya Angelou, Nikki Giovanni. A 25-year-old singer stopping her own hit single to tell you exactly who built her. The album also carried Portuguese Love, which became a Quiet Storm standard and featured a brief uncredited appearance from Rick James. The title track went to number 30 with The Temptations on it. And It Must Be Magic earned her a Grammy nomination for Best R&B Vocal Performance Female at the 1982 ceremony. She lost. Aretha Franklin won. That same year, she appeared on Rick James's Street Songs, a multi-platinum album, on the duet Fire and Desire. You know that song. It has been at weddings you attended and on stations you did not choose. It is one of the most enduring R&B duets ever recorded, and they performed it together one last time at the 2004 BET Awards, months before he died. But knowing the song and knowing what it cost are two different kinds of knowing. In the spring of 1981, Teena Marie is a gold-selling, Grammy-nominated, self-producing recording artist with a platinum guest feature on the biggest funk album in America. And she is sitting in the 6th and final option period of a contract she signed in 1976 at 20 years old before she had released a single note. For $6,000 a year. This is the document. The whole fight lives inside it. In 1976, Teena Marie signed 2 agreements, a recording contract with Motown Record Corporation and a songwriting contract with Joe Bate Music Company, Motown's publishing arm. Both were admitted into evidence. Both are described in the appellate record, which is a public document that almost nobody has ever read. Here are the terms, as the California Court of Appeals set them out. Each contract ran for an initial period of 1 year. Each granted the company 6 options to renew for additional 1-year periods, on the same terms as the original. Not renegotiated terms, the same terms, which handed the companies, at their sole discretion, 7 years of her working life. Each contract contained an exclusivity clause. During the term, including every renewal, she could not perform those services for anybody else. Not sing, not write. And each contract gave the company an option, exercisable at any time it chose, to pay her compensation at a rate of not less than $6,000 per year. I want to be precise about why that specific number is sitting in that document. Under California law at the time, $6,000 a year was the statutory minimum a company had to guarantee a personal services employee in order to walk into a courtroom and obtain an injunction stopping that person from working for anyone else. It is not a salary, it is the price of a leash, set by statute, and somebody at Motown knew the exact figure. A gold album, number 2 on the Black Albums chart. 2 albums she wrote and produced entirely alone. A Grammy nomination. Hundreds of thousands of records sold, and a clause valuing her at $6,000 a year, payable whenever the company decided to reach for it. And if this is the first time you are hearing that number, that is not your fault. It is buried in a 1984 appellate decision that lives in law school casebooks and nowhere else. But it does not have to stay buried, and after today it isn't. She was 26 years old when she decided she was finished. 3. She gives notice.
Had money. And you may think it fun.
May 1982. Teena Marie notifies Motown and Jobette, in writing, that she will no longer perform under the contracts. A formal notice of rescission. She is not opening a negotiation. She is leaving.
To the bone marrow, I rave, even when I am asleep.
The dispute, by every contemporaneous account, came down to 2 things: the contract itself and the label's unwillingness to release her new material. She was 6 years in. She had proven she could write it, produce it, and sell it, and she could not get her own record out the door. August 1982, Motown and Jobette sue her, breach of contract, injunctive and declaratory relief.
Of my pie, of you and I, but nobody knows when the line.
September 1982. After filing that lawsuit, more than 6 years after she first began performing under the agreements, the companies exercised their option clauses. They elect at last to pay her at the rate of $6,000 per year. Read that order of operations again. They sued her first. Then they purchased the statutory minimum that would allow them to ask a judge to stop her from working. The appellate court noticed.
My love was just about all I could do.
In its written opinion, the court described this as buying an insurance policy for a minimal premium at exactly the moment a loss had become certain. A company, as the justices put it, purchasing its coverage on the courthouse steps on the way in.
I'll have my cake and eat it too.
November 1982. She informs them she has signed a recording contract with another company and intends to begin performing for them later that month. Epic Records had approached her that fall.
But never keeps me guessing.
The companies immediately move for a preliminary injunction, and the trial court grants it. A California judge orders Teena Marie not to sing and not to write songs for anyone other than Motown and Jobette until the contracts expire in 1983.
And it's all too deep.
Not a fine, not damages, a court order against a 26-year-old woman's voice. This is the story I told you was coming. What happened to her in 1976 was indecision.
That the tears flow harder than the whole damn.
This was not indecision. A record company that would not release her music went to court to guarantee that nobody else could either. That is the plainest possible version of the thing this channel exists to document. And I will say clearly what most people won't.
And who were you to say?
This was not an accident of paperwork. It was the paperwork functioning exactly as it had been designed to function.
And more girls, then how would
2. What it cost.
little birdie told me that you feel the same game? I'm for the real.
She could have folded. Every number on the page said fold. She was 26. She was under a court order forbidding her from working.
Into me, 'cause I got a vibe on you the first time you saw through me through.
She had one legal team against Motown's, and the fight, the suit, the countersuit, the appeal, ran close to 2 years and reportedly cost her in the neighborhood of $1 million in legal fees. $1 million from an artist whose contract valued her at $6,000 a year. She did not fold, and here is the part that tells you exactly who she was. While it was happening, she kept working. In 1983, she signed with Epic, joining a roster that at that moment included Michael Jackson and Luther Vandross, and released Robbery, a concept album she wrote and produced herself, with Patrice Rushen and Paulinho da Costa playing on it. It underperformed badly. Number 13 R&B, number 119 pop. Then, in October 1984, she released Lover Girl.
Just want to rock your world.
You know this song. It has been part of your life for a long time. Written by her, composed by her, produced by her, the video directed by Cicely Tyson.
Just want to be your lover girl.
By March 1985, it was number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100, the biggest pop hit of her career, 23 weeks on the chart, number 9 R&B, number 6 on Dance Club Play. Star Child went gold.
And for you I'm to lose. Let's make a deal, sugar, all I want.
And it earned her a second Grammy nomination for Best Female R&B Vocal Performance at the 28th Annual Grammy Awards. She lost again, Aretha Franklin again, Freeway of Love. But knowing the song and knowing what it cost to make it are two different kinds of knowing. That record, the one you have danced to for 40 years, was made by a woman who had just spent 2 years and most of her money in a courtroom for the right to record anything at all.
Want to be your lover girl.
And on September 17, 1984, the California Court of Appeal issued its decision. It held that the option clause did not satisfy the statutory minimum compensation requirement, that a company cannot simply reserve the right to pay $6,000 someday and thereby purchase the power to silence an artist. The parties had already settled by then. The court ruled on the merits anyway, because the justices said the question had never been addressed and needed to be.
I just want to be your lover girl.
1. The Brockert Initiative.
I remember.
Say her legal name, Mary Christine Brockert. Now say the name of the case. Motown Record Corporation versus Brockert. 160 California Appellate Reports. Third series, page 123. She did not set out to reform the music industry, and she said so afterward in the Los Angeles Times, that this was never a campaign she had planned, that what she wanted was to get out from under Motown and go have a decent life. What she got instead was a precedent.
By surprise.
The outcome of her fight is known throughout the music business as the Brockert Initiative. The principle is simple, and it is the precise shape of the wound she took.
Yeah, if I were a bell.
A record company cannot hold an artist under contract while refusing to release that artist's material. If a label will not put your work out, it cannot also stop you from taking that work to somebody who will.
Ring from each and every mile.
Before her, that combination was standard operating procedure. A label could decide quietly that you were finished, decline to release you, and run the clock out on the best years you were ever going to have.
I'm gonna sing about you one more time. If I were.
There was no name for it, because there was no remedy for it. After her, there was both.
I was taken.
Every artist who has walked out of a dead deal in California in the 4 decades since, every negotiation where a lawyer has leaned on the 7-year limit, every catalog that started moving again because a label could not simply sit on it out of spite, is standing on ground that a 26-year-old singer from Venice paid $1 million to survey. And I want to be exact about the cost, because reverence without arithmetic is just sentiment. She won, and the 2 years she spent winning came directly out of the commercial peak of her career, the window between It Must Be Magic and Star Child, when she was the most formidable self-produced woman in R&B.
It talks to me.
She never fully recovered that momentum. The industry moved while she was in a courtroom. She traded her own peak for a protection that shields people who have never heard her sing. Some of you just got quiet. That is the right response.
Each day for you.
Hold that name, Brockert. It is on a record label, a court docket, and a Grammy certificate, and most people only know about one of the three.
And now I'll never be the same.